Clock on the computer says 6:30, so we'll get started. And before we start, I want to remind everyone that Roy Crawford is still in the hospital. Please remember him in your prayers. And also, Commissioner Allen had a conflict with his work schedule tonight, and Commissioner Cole is out due to illness tonight. So if you would please register your presence, and then John will have the emergency announcement. Please vote by register by voting yes. Okay. Take the roll, please.
You have 18 present, 3 absent, and you have a quorum.
We do have a quorum. John, would you please roll the emergency announcement?
Before we get started, let me read the emergency evacuation procedures. In the event of an emergency evacuation, an alarm will sound. Everyone should exit the building by way of the nearest stairwell in a safe and effective manner. If the nearest stairwell is blocked by smoke, use the other stairwell. Do not use the elevator. Once you have reached the main floor, follow the exit signs to exit the building and quickly proceed away from the building. Please be mindful of others evacuating and of emergency vehicles.
Thank you. One other thing I did not mention, Circuit Court Clerk Hatcher's mother passed away this morning, so you find that probably in the obituaries. I believe the services are going to be Saturday, I think. Is that right? Does anybody know? I think it's Saturday.
Mercy, friends, I think Thursday, Steve.
And, it's Friday afternoon at 3.
On Friday.
Yeah.
At Grandview.
Graveside, 3 p.m. Friday at Grandview. That's what it is. Okay. Chair will entertain a motion to set the agenda. Commissioner Lewis, second Commissioner Carver. Any discussion? If you're in favor of setting the agenda, please vote yes. If you're opposed, vote no. Okay. Take the vote, John. Oh, me? I didn't vote? Okay. I guess I could vote on that. Sorry about that.
18 yes, 0 no, and 3 absent.
The agenda is approved. Next item is approval of the agenda committee minutes. Chair will entertain a motion. Where was that? Commissioner Lewis, second.
Point of order, you skipped C.
Did I?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. We'll pick that up as soon as we approve the minutes. Is there a second to the minutes? Commissioner Melton. If you're in favor of the minutes as printed, please vote yes. If you're opposed, vote no.
$18 yes, 0 no, and 3 absent.
And that item is approved. Now, is there any public input on items on the agenda? Anyone wish to speak to an item that is on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on. Next item is the consent calendar. The chair will entertain a motion on the consent calendar to move it forward. Commissioner French, is there a second? Commissioner Lewis. The board is clear. If you're in...
Chairman,
yes.
we need to make nominations for 3A. We have two
Yes.
2 vacancies. We have a reappointment of 2 vacancies on the Cable TV Franchise Authority.
Okay.
We need to make those nominations tonight.
We'll do that. Okay. We'll go ahead and make those nominations before we vote then. The chair will open the floor for nominations for the Cable TV Authority.
Mr. Chairman, I nominate Commissioner Samples.
Okay. And Mr. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Farmer. Commissioner Stinnett?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Melton, I'd like to nominate. Thank you, sir.
Second by Commissioner French. Now, are there other nominations? That was Ken Melton. Motion has been made and seconded. Nominations cease. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nominations are closed. Now we will entertain a motion to approve the mayor's nominees for the Purchasing Commission. Carter, Longhurst, Floyd, Hillis. Is there a motion to accept those nominations? Where was it? Commissioner Lewis, is there a second? Commissioner Eckert. Now, that's to move them forward, yes, yeah, everybody understands that. Okay. If you're in favor of moving the mayor's nominations forward to the commission meeting, please vote yes. If you're opposed, vote no. We're going to do that with them. Yeah, we've got a motion on the floor to cover. Okay, now we've got the motion and the second on the floor to cover the consent calendar. Yeah, the mayor's nominations do move forward. Now, if you're in favor of the consent calendar, please vote yes. If you are opposed, vote no. There we go. Commissioner Daly. Okay.
You have 17 yes, 1 no, and 3 absent.
Okay, the consent calendar and the nominees that for Cable TV and Purchasing Commission move forward to the full agenda. Now, under unfinished business, we have all the February stuff that came forward. And of course, all of these have already been discussed. But first of all, I'll entertain a motion to move the February consent calendar to the March consent calendar.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I move that we move items 1A, B, C, and D, and E, and items 2A, items 2A to the consent calendar of the March meeting.
Okay, we have a motion to move all of number 1, A, B, C, D, and E, and 2A, the budget transfer that was approved at the agenda meeting last month, to the March consent calendar. Second was Commissioner Stinnett. Any discussion? Commissioner Monroe. Hang on, let me get your mic on. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On page 16 in our packet, there's a typo in the minutes. Appointment of Purchasing Commission of Purchasing Commission. I want to move to strike the second of Purchasing Commission so that there's not a typo there.
Okay. Is there objection to having that done? Does anyone object to that? Would you take care of that, please, Ms. Rhonda? We'll take care of that.
Okay.
Now, we have a motion on the floor and the board is clear. If you're in favor, please vote yes. If you are opposed, vote no. Please vote.
You have 18 yes and 0 no and 3 absent.
Okay, those items move to the March consent calendar. The next item are the remaining items under new business from February. So I would entertain a motion to move those forward and a reset of the public hearings. Do I hear a motion? Commissioner Stinnett and second by Commissioner Moon. Can we also specify that the public hearings would be at 5:45, 6, and 6:15? I think last month we had them all set at 6, and obviously we can't set them all at one time. Is that okay with you, Commissioner Stinnett? Commissioner Moon? Okay. So the public hearings, respectively, 1, 2, and 3 will be at 5:45, 6, and 6:15. And the motion is to remove the remainder of this to unfinished business on the March calendar.
And the date is 5:45, April 7th, and 4:30.
Yeah, I believe it is April 7th. Is that okay with you? Okay. All right, board, let's see, Commissioner Monroe. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Which items are we voting on here?
We're voting, well, A's already been moved to consent, so B through E.
Okay. I don't want to complicate anything but I don't know how any other way to address this. We have a request for a special called meeting. I originally just started out with a teleconference, and then it was suggested that we have a special called meeting, which I'm fine with.
Right?
Right, yes, which I'm fine with. However, there's also in this county newsletter that we get, there's also an announcement for up to $75 million for jail reform for overcrowded jails. And the chairman of the committee is not here tonight, but we don't have a meeting scheduled for March, and the filing deadline is March 31st. So I was wondering if maybe we could send this to the committee or just get the chairman to call a meeting and do both at once. I don't know. I don't want to send it back to the committee because the committee was sending it here for the commission to have a public discussion on this. And I'm not trying to complicate things, but we are up against, we have about 3 seconds to accomplish this. So.
Do we want to just pull that or amend it? You want to amend it?
Yeah, could we amend it? I don't want to send it back to the committee and just leave it in the committee, but we need to have a meeting to do both. So I guess I'll amend it so that we have a special called meeting for the teleconference and to review this about the application and get this in before the deadline. And we need to do it soon. The sooner the better, obviously, because we only have till March 31st. So so I want to include that discussion on possible action on this as well.
Commissioner Monroe is amending item E to include, to review the application. Is that correct?
Yeah.
For the
Yes,
grant?
to add that
or
to,
whatever?
add this to it so that we can get this done before the end of the month.
Is there a second to the amendment? I second. Okay, motion and a second. Did you want the floor?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Well, let me get to you here. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm probably the cause of this confusion by recommending we have a special call. And after a lot of thinking about it, it's really not proper because it's in the hands of an ad hoc committee, which later became a partnership, which has involved the state of Tennessee under Tennessee Correctional Institute. We've also going to vote to place 2 judges on the partnership. So it's really proper to have that remain in the hands of the partnership. I do agree with Commissioner Monroe. We should move along very quickly with a call meeting of the partnership, have the teleconferencing, get the grant application in, and get things moving there. So it may be best that the original motion be withdrawn. We could vote down the amendment, withdraw the motion, and let the partnership do their job. And because we charge the partnership with bringing a report back to the commission, and when they do that, the partnership's dissolved. And I don't think we're anywhere close to having the partnership in a position to be dissolved. I don't think TCI would appreciate that at this point.
Let me go to Commissioner Akert. He's been up on the board here. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you?
While we're discussing this, I don't want to discuss it. I had it up before we actually started discussing this.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see it.
But it is an item, it's one of the letters that we're talking about lumping in together that I was going to ask that we vote on separately.
Okay, let me get back to Commissioner Monroe. Commissioner Monroe?
I certainly am not opposed to that. The only thing I want to state is that we sent this to this full commission so that we could have, this whole body could have the benefit of a hearing on that study. And I don't want to kick that can any further because we spent $95,000 of taxpayer money. So I'm certainly not opposed to that, but I was thrilled that we were finally going to have this meeting and start this discussion, which we paid for and should have had months ago. So I don't want that to be, I don't want this to get buried. I want the public to be aware, the press to be here. We've got a serious problem in the jail and we need to discuss this. So I'm okay with that as long as we don't kick the can or deep six this jail, having a public discussion with this commission on the jail study. We should hear from this consultant. We paid him a lot of money. So I'm okay with that as long as we give the public a fair hearing on what they've paid for. So I just want to state that publicly. I will go ahead and withdraw that, or let me ask you, let me rephrase this. I would move that we postpone E to the April meeting and that it can be withdrawn at the April meeting if we can get the chairman, who's not here tonight, to call a special called meeting and achieve this. So I would like to postpone item E until the April meeting.
Well, I've got an amendment on the
It's
floor.
with precedent, a motion to postpone has precedent over amendment, so it's the next level. So that's be the pending motion.
You're right. Okay, so we do have a motion to postpone. Is there a second?
I second it.
Okay.
I'm second.
Ms. Miller. All right, you've heard the reasoning to postpone till April. If you're in favor of that, please vote yes. Well, there we go. You do? Okay.
Is this only on 2E?
This is just the postponement of 2E. That all you? Okay. All right.
18 yes, 0 no, and 3 absent.
Okay, so that item is postponed till E. Now, let's see, Mr. Akert, what did you want to do?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to vote on 2B separately, please.
2B. Okay. Are you requesting a division of the question then?
I'm sorry, sir.
You're asking for a division of the question then?
Yes.
Okay. Well, the chair rules that they are dissimilar, so that is proper. So we'll remove 2B from this motion. And now, Commissioner Kaler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't mean to sidestep Chairman Hedrick in regard to the ad hoc committee, but since our vice chair is here, can we not go ahead and set that meeting? Because as Commissioner Monroe has indicated, we are on a pretty tight time schedule. So I guess I'm asking, can we let the vice chair act and go ahead and schedule a meeting of our partnership on the jail overcrowding
He's
now?
not present. Yeah, who all's on the partnership? Well, we'd have to have a majority of them for better motion.
3 right here. There's
Who's
a
the
majority.
vice chairman? If that's what you wish, let us deal with this without 2E first.
Okay, that's fine.
Let's deal with it.
We voted to postpone it.
Yes, that's what I mean.
We can rehear it.
Yeah,
After we get this done. After we get this decided, we'll come back and rehear 2E. Okay, so we're voting on everything now except 2B and 2E. Move to the March unfinished business. Everybody clear on that? Okay, if you're in favor of that motion now, please vote yes. If If you're opposed, vote no.
Eighteen yes, 0 no, and 3 absent.
All right, so the next item up will be 2B. That does pass. Next item will be 2B. The chair will entertain a motion to move 2B to unfinished business in March. Is there a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Farmer, is there a second? Commissioner Bowers. Now, is there discussion? Commissioner French, let me get your mic on.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm still not happy with the resolution. On my way over tonight, I counted 17 intersections between the Sevier County line and the urban growth boundary on Sevierville Road. We don't need businesses at every intersection between here and the Blount County line. I'm sorry. I don't think we need that. Personally, I'd like to amend that particular part of this resolution to state that we'll only allow these commercial ventures at the intersections of major and minor collector roads, and we grandfather the intersections that already have businesses on them. Between here and the Blount County line, we're talking about, instead of 17 intersections, we're talking about 5 that are major or minor or have commercial business at them right now. I think it's just too much, and I'm just speaking on Old Sevierville Road. I tried to drive the Dragon, which is one of the roads in question. I didn't get an opportunity to drive it all the way, but I did count the intersections there, and there are quite a few intersections there also. The road up in coming through Townsend, I did drive from the Blount County line to the Sevier County line. There are 3 intersections there, and to be honest with you, that road goes like this. There's no reason to allow any kind of commercial development there. You can't see it. So I want to amend the resolution to only allow the commercial development at major and minor collector roads and grandfather the ones that already have commercial development at them.
You heard the motion to amend.
Point of order on the motion to amend.
Let me recognize you. Go ahead.
Point of order on the motion to amend. This is covered under, and there's already been a public hearing on it. You amend it, we have to go back and have another public hearing. Now, if you want to make a motion to refer back, then make a motion to refer it back to the Planning Commission. That's where this got to come from, Mr. French. We've already had a public hearing. You can't amend it now and us vote on it. It can be referred back and go through the public hearing process again. Correct, Mr. Lamb? Thank you.
So that motion to amend, you want, I'm sorry, Mr. French, go ahead.
And I amend to send it back, then let's send it back to the Planning Commission.
Motion to refer
Motion,
back.
right.
Motion to refer back. Number of seconds. This is a vote strictly on the motion to refer back. Pardon me? Yes. Hold on, Mr. Carver. Go ahead.
So if we're going to send it back to the Planning Commission or committee, I would like the opportunity for the public to have input, for the Planning Committee to hear from the public on maybe the design structure in the front, the facade of the buildings, so that it blends in with the community. I talk to people that are for growth and that are against it, and they all realize that there is going to be growth here, They just want it to match into the community as we have it there, and not just have some blank building that's not pleasant to our eyes. So something that would blend into our community, and hear from people that live in the community what they feel would be a just front facade. And so if we're going to send it back with an opportunity for the public input with the planning committee, is my motion.
Commissioner Farmer.
I'm not necessarily opposed to referring back. However, this is something that obviously should have been discussed on the planning commission before it ever came to us. But aside from that is the fact that the misconception that it automatically opens up every intersection's wrong, Mr. French. They still have to apply for and be approved. I mean, it doesn't give them carte blanche. So to think that it does, and anyone who does think that it does, it doesn't.
Commissioner Kaler.
Following up with, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Following up with what Commissioner Carver said, correct me if I'm wrong, but the aesthetics of the building would still have to come before the Planning Commission on a case-by-case instance. Am I correct in saying that?
I think so.
Mr. Lamb? May I ask Mr. Lamb that
Go
question?
ahead. Mr. Lamb.
If you don't care, just give us a quick rundown on that. If a person or a company indicates interest in developing one of those pieces of property, they still have to come before the Planning Commission and meet the standards and guidelines set forth in regard to setbacks, lighting, landscaping, pavement, yada, yada, yada. Is that correct?
Yes, and we do have it defined in the regulations. It might not be as much as some people would like, but it is something that the Planning Commission did consider before they sent this on to you. They did consider the design criteria for the building itself and felt that what we have in our regulations now is sufficient. But yes, it would have to go to the Planning Commission for a site plan approval. Now, you cannot be arbitrary in requiring more than what your regulations have.
Right.
So if you feel that the regulations are not sufficient, then we probably need to work on them. But I do appreciate the input from the County Commission. A lot of times we don't get that if it gets referred back.
Thank you, Mr. Lamb.
Thank you. Commissioner Daly.
Yes, I agree that it needs some fine tuning. Like all of you, I've gotten a lot of phone calls about this issue. And in my understanding, that the only way you can turn it down is if it's a safety problem. Is that true? Besides, I mean, if they have all their ducks in a row, do you have to say, yes, you can come in and build there?
You cannot be arbitrary and capricious, just saying, I don't like it. You got to have some basis for saying you don't like it.
So what is the
basis?
And
under zoning and the regulatory framework, you have to look at health, safety, and welfare. Does it harm the health of the community? Does it harm the safety of the community? Does it harm the welfare, which can include the conditions around the area? Does it have too many residences around it? Will it have an impact on residences, things like that. But you got to be very specific about it. You just can't do it arbitrarily.
Correct. I just felt it wasn't strong enough for me. Mm-hmm. And is it too much to ask for your committee to be open to the public?
Our committee is always open to the public. We publish in the paper our agenda every month, yes. And we put the agenda on the web page for everybody to see. And we have had the public come in and have input on this.
That's all. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner French.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was on board for this at one time. However, after thinking about it, and after what Mr. Lamb just mentioned here, and he mentioned at the last meeting we had, you cannot be arbitrary and capricious. There's got to be a mitigating circumstance. There has to be evidence that particular venture is dangerous to the community that it's going in, which would mean, line of sight as far as entrance and exits from this. And I just think it is too broad a definition to say every intersection, because you can't be arbitrary and capricious. You're going to have to allow that at every intersection unless there's a mitigating circumstance there. And if you drive Sevierville Road, of the 17 sites that are possible locations, there may be 2 or 3 that have mitigating circumstances there. I just think it's too broad.
Commissioner Monroe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've been told that there isn't any opportunity for public input on the Planning Commission, so I was just going to request of the commissioners that are up here, if you could, to just get it as a regular agenda item from now on your Planning Commission meetings to allow for public input. I think that would help and go a long way. Thank you.
Commissioner Ackard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's Ackard.
I'm sorry. I knew that.
I just wanted to touch on what Commissioner French just said. I believe that not only would those circumstances be tough to deny, but we would quite possibly find ourselves in a legally actionable position of having to defend that if we did say no and we had things out there saying that we could. I strongly believe that this should be sent back and tweaked if we're going to consider it in the future. Thank you.
The board is clear, and the motion is to refer back to the Planning Commission. Is that all? If you're in favor of referring back, vote yes. If you are opposed, vote no.
Yes, 3 no, and 3 absent.
And it is referred back. Thank you, Ms. Rhonda. Okay, that was item 2B, and we've already dealt with item 2E. So we'll move on now to new business, unless I've missed something. I think we did move on. On what?
I got confused.
Oh, you got confused. Well, I did too. I think we moved everything back from February. All right, under new business, there are no budget transfers and there are no budget increases.
Mr. Chairman, there will be a meeting of the Budget Committee
Right.
next Monday, and there will be items coming forward which are allowed by the rules.
Right. And that Budget Committee meets the 9th, I'm assuming at 5:30. Unless there's snow, okay. All right, so, and there are no other budget items at this time. Next item is a resolution authorizing CBIZ Benefits and Insurance of Tennessee as the new broker consultant of the Blount County Employee Health and Welfare Benefit Plan. I'll entertain a motion to move it forward. Commissioner Lewis, is there a second? Commissioner Carbon. Now, Commissioner Kaler.
I don't mean to backtrack, but we skipped over going back and looking at going ahead and scheduling a meeting on the jail overcrowding committee so that we can take advantage of the...
Well, do you want to let us deal with this and we'll go back and take it up, even though it's not on the agenda?
Okay.
Why don't we rehear it, Mr. Kaler, before we end the meeting?
Yeah, we can deal with it anywhere since it's not on there. Okay. You better mention it and remind me. Stay on it. Yeah, you better remind me. I'll forget it. Okay, let's see. Now where am I? You got me confused. Commissioner Monroe, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm certainly not opposed to changing brokers, But there's something that's conspicuously absent from this, and that's the cost. How much are we going to be paying this new broker? Before I vote to hire a new broker, I'd like to at least have some sort of idea of what the cost is going to be.
Mr. Vineyard, is that something you can help us with? Or who? Oh, come on. Yes. Okay, let me get your mic on out there. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. There is no cost. The broker's going to work on a commission basis, so he will be receiving, or they will be receiving, commission based on the voluntary products that our employees choose. So, supplemental life insurance, accidental death, cancer coverage, those types of things. They receive a commission off of that. So it's no cost to the county. They're going to be receiving a commission directly from those benefits that the employees select.
So are these additional products that the county doesn't provide to its employees?
Right. There's no cost from the county on those benefits. It's all of the cost is solely on the employee.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Commissioner Crowe.
Same kind of question is that the way we operated under the last one?
It is. Yeah. So they are assuming the same, for lack of a better term, fee schedule. I mean, a commission basis that the previous broker had.
So there's no cost increase to the employees?
Not at this time.
Okay. Commissioner, hang on just a second. Commissioner Bowers.
Yes, I'd just like to ask, why are we switching?
Yeah, so I've been here for about 6 months now. So as part of, just taking a step back and looking at the HR program in general and benefits, I felt like it was time to see what was out there. I mean, we'd had the current broker for probably about 8.5, 9 years. And I feel like this is something that we should do every 5 years, is to put it out to bid and see what's out there. And so put it out there and got responses, and this is who we went with. So.
Okay, the board is clear. Okay. If you are in favor of sending this to the full agenda, please vote yes. If you are opposed, vote no.
Seventeen yes, 1 no, and 3 absent.
That item moves to the full agenda. Next item is resolution authorizing continuous 4-year reappraisal cycle. Chair will entertain a motion to move it forward.
Mr. Chairman, I move forward to full committee.
Second. Commissioner Moon and Commissioner Bowers second. Now, is there discussion? Commissioner Monroe.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Are we on a 5-year cycle right now?
Yes.
And that was done because the incoming property assessor didn't think he could get it done in time, and he needed more time. Well,
Tim's here. Come on up.
Yes, ma'am, that would be correct.
okay, by going to a 4-year instead of a 5-year, are you going to have more employees to get it done?
No, ma'am, no.
Okay, could you explain why?
Be happy to. When I came in 2012, a lot of you know there were some circumstances when I came back. The staff was short. We only had 4 appraisers and 67,000 parcels. And the office was behind at least a year in field review. So for us to be in compliance with our reappraisal plan that was current at the time, we had to move to a 5-year just to get all that review caught up. I rehired staff. We've got it caught up. As a matter of fact, we're completing the reappraisal right now for 2015.
You said you rehired staff?
Yes.
Okay, how many appraisers do you have now?
We have 8.
8?
A full staff.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And are you going to stay at 8?
Yes.
If we kept the 5-year, could you go with less appraisers?
No, actually going to a 4-year creates a little more work because you have to cram in more review in a shorter period of time. So it actually creates more work, but we can get the work done with what we have. But
if we kept the 5-year, could you do it? How many did your predecessor have? How many?
He had 8.
8,
as well,
okay.
Yes. The reason we go to a 4-year, Blount County's blessed that we've got a better than average real estate market. And if we go to a 4-year, which is what we were on before, what it does in a shorter amount of time, it will equalize values. If it's an upswing or a downswing, it equalizes a little sooner, obviously with a 4-year than a 5.
Okay, so you're not going to need additional employees to get it done in 4
No, ma'am.
years? Okay.
No, ma'am.
Thank you, Tim. Why don't you just hang out there? Commissioner Moon?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What I see and understand is you've just completed the reappraisal process, and you're beginning the next cycle. And the first step of that is bringing a plan to the commission. Once the commission approves that plan, then it's submitted to the state, and they either approve or disapprove it, modify it, send it back, whatever. But this is the first step of the next process.
That is correct.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
As awkward as that is to actually be to have to send your next reappraisal plan in for 2019 before we're actually through with the 2015, but that's where we're at. The state requires it in April, so we have to come to the commission in March.
Okay. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
The board is clear. If you're in favor of sending this forward, please vote yes. If you're opposed, vote no. Let's see. Go ahead and take a vote. Oh, John. John, can you take the vote? Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Aker, okay.
17 yes and 1 no and 3 absent.
That item moves forward. Next item on the agenda is the appointment to fill vacancy in the office of school board member in District 2. Under state law, these nominations will be made on the floor of the commission. We will not do the nominations here, but we do need to move this to the agenda. So the chair will entertain a motion to move this filling of this vacancy to the agenda. Commissioner French, is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Carver, I'm sorry. Let's see. Board is clear. If you're in favor of this, vote yes. If you're opposed, vote no.
Yes, 0 no, 3 absent.
That item moves forward. Next item is a resolution establishing water quality buffer and related regulations of streams, rivers, wetlands, ponds, and lakes in Blount County. Chair will entertain a motion to move it forward. Where was that? Commissioner Caskey, is there a second? Commissioner Crowe. Now, is there discussion? Commissioner Monroe.
Yes, I would like to ask Mr. Teague some questions, if that'd be all
You
right.
come forward, Mr. Teague. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Does the state enforce this at all, TDEC?
Yes, it's in the state permit language, yes.
Okay. If Blount County were to default and not enforce it, would TDEC come in and enforce it?
They would know. They would probably enforce a civil penalty with a director's order against the county like happened last time.
So what's the state's role exactly in enforcing this?
They just it's a unfunded or it's a federal mandate from EPA down in the states, and the states want to set the permit language in place, and we have to follow that by TCA regulations.
So each county that falls under Phase 2 has to do.
That's correct. City or county. That's correct.
And so the state actually doesn't enforce this.
No, they have the enforcement ability over the counties and cities that require this regulation. But so if we were to opt out or attempt to opt out, the state would not enforce a permanent water quality buffer. No, but there would be action against the county, like last time.
So the default isn't that TDEC comes in and does it; they just fine you.
Correct.
See, so TDEC isn't enforcing this anywhere.
No, they enforce a construction buffer, which is a vegetative buffer during construction processes where they have issued permits. This buffer we have before us tonight is a permanent buffer which comes into place after a project is complete. And that's where the cities and counties have to enact buffer regulations.
Okay, so this isn't during construction, this is after construction?
Correct.
Okay, Thank you.
Okay, the board is clear. Thank you, Justin. If you're in favor of moving this forward to the full agenda, vote yes. If you are opposed, vote no. Commissioner Stinnett.
Have 14 yes, 4 no, and 3 absent.
That item moves to the full agenda. Commissioner Farmer.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask that you recognize Commissioner Kaler. I think he wants something read.
Well, I was going to actually recognize Commissioner Carver.
I'm sorry, but I forgot what
We'll just say anything. You've got the floor. I'm going to recognize Commissioner Carver as part of the announcements and statements, not as part of the agenda, so he can announce the meeting. Commissioner Carver, would you please take the floor?
All right. Well, it sounds like we need to set up an ad hoc meeting to address the application that is before that Mrs. Commissioner Monroe brought to our attention. And Rhonda, what dates do we have available?
And the teleconference.
Yeah, don't forget the teleconference.
And the teleconference. Oh, boy.
And we will have to work with Teresa in purchasing to coordinate that teleconference.
Rhonda's showing me the 24th of March. What time? 5:30?
Is that what you're calling then, Tuesday?
That's what she shows that we have available. Does that work with the commission?
Okay, so the jail partnership ad hoc committee meeting Tuesday, March 24th, 5:30.
Mr. Chairman.
But you're-
Did you ask unanimous consent of the body to set that date and time?
Yes. Are we set on that date?
Yeah, I just want to be, if we see this report, then we're dissolving, as Commissioner Moon was
No,
referring
we
to.
just handed it back to the partnership.
Okay, so if we watch this presentation, then that's not dissolving it back. All right.
No, let me say this before we ask unanimous consent. If you'll recall, a budget committee has done this several times with PFM. We have a budget committee meeting. We had PFM by teleconference, and we invited the whole commission to be here. It was still a budget committee meeting.
Correct.
Be pending the consultant's schedule.
Yeah.
But
I would ask, is there objection to that date? Do we have unanimous consent? Now, let me say this. This is pending on whether or not the jail consultant can be here. And Ms. Rhonda will have to check with that person. Okay. Everybody clear on that? And other announcements, let me get my sheet here. Commission meeting will be March the 19th in this room at 7 p.m. Boys and Girls Club County Government Day will be March 26th at 8 a.m. in this room. And the Budget Committee we've already talked about is rescheduled for March the 9th at 5:30. Any other announcements? Now, is there any, Oh, Mr. French, let me get your mic here.
The next Education Committee meeting, it will be March 31st at Eagleton Elementary School at 12 noon.
March 31st at Eagleton, 12 noon. Okay, Commissioner Akerd.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Got it that time.
Snuck it in there. I made a big deal at last month's agenda meeting regarding there being no names on the agenda for the Purchasing Commission, and I just wanted to publicly thank the mayor for getting those names in front of us and allowing us to move forward with abiding by those laws. I applaud that. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Now, is there anyone who wishes to speak to an item not on the agenda? Seeing no hands, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.